There exists a type of creature in this world, discovered by only a few, but its existence remains unconfirmed. We collectively refer to such creatures as unidentified mysterious animals, or unconfirmed biological entities, abbreviated as UMA. Hello everyone, welcome to the UMA video series. Africa is a magical place. Its superior tropical rainforest environment provides an ideal habitat for many large animals, and the local unidentified creatures, such as the Jaba Fafini, Kongomato of Zambia, and the long-delayed topic of Mokele-Mbembe. All of them fall under the themes of being massive and ferocious. Today, what I want to share with you is the legendary giant crocodile of the Congo region in Africa, Mokele-Mbembe. Mokele-Mbembe refers to a creature with a body length exceeding 50 feet. Its overall form and habits are not vastly different from Africa's Nile crocodiles. It attacks humans and digs burrows in swamps. Its extraordinary size is its most unique feature. Imagine a crocodile as long as a 5-story building. What kind of image would that be? Regarding the name Mahamba, I couldn't find a specific explanation or etymology. However, a Reddit user offered a relatively credible opinion. The word Hamba itself, in certain South African languages means go or leave. For example, in South Africa's Xhosa language, Mahamba can be directly translated as let's leave. If emphasized, it can also mean let's run away. Seeing such a creature means you should run. This could be one of the origins of the name. At the end of the 19th century, Belgian explorer Johann Reinhard Werner accompanied the American colonial officer, Sir Henry Stanley, on his expedition to Congo. In 1889, he compiled his experiences living along the Congo River into a narrative titled, Visiting Stanley's Rearguard Forces. The book mentions that from late September to early October 1887, Professor Werner traveled aboard the International Africa Association (AIA) steamship, returning to Lake Mindam. While passing through the wide waterways above Balobo, he spotted this giant crocodile. The following are his original words. For clarity, I've made minor adjustments. The force of the propeller disturbed the crocodiles in the river, making them retreat hastily. Their midday rest was disrupted, and they seemed aware of what was coming, moving away in advance. Occasionally, on the low sandbanks at the edges of the reeds, a massive crocodile could be seen. It might have been 50 feet long. In any case, I've seen several crocodiles longer than the AIA steamship, which measured 42 feet. Once, while hunting ducks on a vast sandbank, I captured one, and noticed the rest were hiding behind a low sand dune. I crouched down, and discovered that some were concealed behind the ridge. So I bent lower. I crept along the back of the sand dune, until I thought I was within shooting range. I raised my head. Sure enough, the ducks were less than 50 yards away from me. However, at that moment, I realized there was the largest crocodile I had ever seen, lying between me and the ducks. Comparing it to the AIA steamship anchored about 300 yards away in deep water, I estimated it to be about 50 feet long. Its jagged back raised the sand around its belly to at least 4 feet high. I only had a shotgun on me, and upon first sighting it, I sent an accompanying native boy to fetch my rifle. While waiting for him to return, I made the observations above. The crocodile, meanwhile, hadn't noticed me. It was either asleep or unaware of me since I was out of its line of sight. In nautical terms, I was positioned at its starboard aft quarter. I carefully avoided its massive tail, as the boy was likely to take some time to return. I decided it was best to move farther away, but doing so startled the ducks. They flew off to the other side, which made me quite anxious. The meat supplies on the boat were already depleted. At that moment, I completely forgot about the crocodile, focusing only on chasing the ducks. Although I didn't hit any, but the massive reptile was startled and fled into the water. Its enormous tail sent sand flying everywhere. In February 1888, the team set off from Leopoldville, now known as Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, with supplies in tow. heading along the Congo River toward the Bangala region. 2 or 3 days after passing Paruro Island, they encountered this giant creature once again. Here's how it was described. We suddenly arrived at a sandbank, where the water was only 3 feet deep. The engine had stopped, but our bow was still stuck in the sand. At that moment, the sand beneath the boat seemed to start undulating, and the river water began to ripple strangely. I tried to figure out the cause of these unusual disturbances. I thought if the water here was deeper, I'd attribute the phenomenon to us colliding with a hippopotamus. But the water depth there was clearly not enough to submerge a hippo. At that moment, I saw a massive crocodile suddenly rush from the riverbank and plunge into the deeper waters ahead. I was certain its body length exceeded 40 feet, longer than our boat. I had never seen a crocodile of such immense size move so quickly. I didn't even have time to fire a shot at it. It must have heard the boat approaching earlier and was trying to reach deeper waters, but was accidentally hit by the boat and pushed into the sand. We collided with it at a speed of 4 miles per hour. Yet during its brief appearance, I didn't notice any visible injuries on its body. In the 1980s, University of Chicago biologist Roy Mackal, collaborating with University of Arizona ecologist Richard Greenwell and Congolese biologist Marcelin Agnagna, Roy Mackal, a biologist from the University of Chicago, made 2 expeditions deep into the Congo rainforest in search of the legendary living dinosaur, Mokele-Mbembe. Their findings and experiences were compiled into a book titled In Search of Living Dinosaurs, Mokele-Mbembe. The book includes numerous accounts of sightings of unknown local creatures, including today's topic, Mahamba. Mackal mentions that local guides in the Likula swamps reported a creature over 15 meters long, a giant crocodile. In Lingala, the language spoken locally, the word for crocodile is Nkoli. All locals insist that Mahamba is not a living dinosaur like Mokele-Mbembe, but rather a separate species distinct from the Nile crocodile. Descriptions of Mahamba's traits suggest it resembles an ordinary crocodile in form, but all accounts highlight its extraordinary length, which far exceeds that of the latter. This species reproduces by laying eggs, attacks livestock and humans near lakes, and digs tunnels, ranging from 50 meters to a kilometer in length, ending in a den used as a dwelling. In his book, Professor Mackal mainly cites sections from Professor Warner's recorded encounters, and does not delve deeply into the local guide's reports. Here, I want to emphasize again the concept of Mahamba being over 15 meters long. To help everyone better grasp its scale, let's start by watching a video. This video is from August 2013. It was published by the official account of Ixer Tourist Park. The description states that the filming location is Port Blair, India. On the way to the Ixer Park, the footage shows a massive saltwater crocodile lying entirely on a small sandbar in the river. It was estimated to be between 20 to 30 feet long, which is approximately 6 to 9 meters. Of course, this includes estimation errors. Saltwater crocodiles are currently known to be the largest living reptiles in the world. The average length of an adult male is between 3 to 6 meters, while females are smaller, generally not exceeding 3 meters. Due to environmental and human factors, these figures may vary. In recent years, larger individuals have also been discovered, such as Lalong in the Philippines, and Yai at Samutprakarn Crocodile Farm in Thailand. Additionally, crocodile fossils found by scholars continue to update the maximum size records for this species, but as of now, the maximum length does not exceed 7 meters. As for the crocodile described by Professor Warner, its size reportedly even exceeds twice that of the largest saltwater crocodile. Professor Michael mentioned in his article some unverified reports suggesting that in southern India, the Sunda Islands, New Guinea, and other areas, giant saltwater crocodiles measuring 12 to 15 meters have been spotted. However, given its behavioral traits, it is unlikely to be a candidate for the Mahamba species. Although the size of the African Nile crocodile is slightly smaller compared to saltwater crocodiles. Among the known crocodile species in Africa, such as the slender-snout crocodile and the dwarf crocodile, only the Nile crocodile could potentially serve as the prototype for the Mahamba incident. Professor Michael noted that in Africa, certain exceptionally large or small animals are often given special names. However, from a zoological perspective, they do not necessarily represent a different species. A conservative conclusion suggests that a very large Nile crocodile was given names like Mahamba or Lipata, and they must have been very old to reach the reported sizes. Likewise, Lipata is another legendary African crocodile. It was found in northern Angola, particularly near the Chiumbe River and Kais River Valley. In the 1930s and 1940s, Swiss naturalist Albert Menard began receiving reports of sightings of this crocodile. Locals claimed that there were 2 or 3 of these crocodiles in the area. They usually hide underwater and only surface between 9 and 10 in the morning. They are especially active during rain and occasionally appear just before sunset. They attack pigs, cattle, and other livestock, and sometimes even consume humans. Compared to ordinary Nile crocodiles, their mouths are larger, their throats are wider, and the spacing between their eyes is closer. Locals also have separate terms to describe ordinary crocodiles, but Menard believed that Lipata were just relatively large Nile crocodiles. This is because Lipata are generally described as being only 13 to 20 feet long, unlike the unusually massive Mahamba. Cryptozoologist Professor Bernard Ubelman's opinion is relatively conservative. He believes that without physical evidence, it is difficult to determine the identity of Mahamba. Only by obtaining specimens and examining the skin and skull can this mystery truly be resolved. However, he also believes that an exceptionally old Nile crocodile could be an explanation for Mahamba or Lipata. Another theory, proposed by Professor Michael, suggests that Mahamba could be a surviving prehistoric Deinosuchus. They are real crocodiles. Except for their size, they are very similar to modern Nile crocodiles. Deinosuchus was a giant crocodile species that is now extinct. It was closely related to modern alligators and caimans. The largest adult individuals reached about 10.6 meters in length. They lived approximately 82 million years ago to 73 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. Of course, this theory was only briefly mentioned in his article. Moreover, most of its fossils were unearthed in the United States. A small number have also been found in northern Mexico. They were widely distributed on both sides of the Cretaceous seas. As of now, there is no evidence that Deinosuchus ever inhabited Africa. Based on the information mentioned above, from my personal perspective, I believe that the existence of a large crocodile like Mahamba is possible, but not very likely. First, the crocodile described by the witnesses in the article was said to exceed 15 meters in length, and sightings in the Congo River basin appear to be not uncommon. However, according to the records of early explorers, apart from Professor Werner's encounter and the reports heard by Professor Michael, almost no one mentioned such a giant creature. During the colonial era, when hunting was prevalent, such a giant beast would undoubtedly have been an enormous attraction for hunters. Would undoubtedly have been enormous. However, sightings of it seem to have ceased in the 19th century. Moreover, from a biological perspective, the weight of modern crocodiles increases almost cubically with an increase in their length. Take saltwater crocodiles as an example. An individual about 6 meters in length weighs more than twice that of a 5-meter individual, according to Indian herpetologist Romulus Whitaker. For large crocodiles, the head width grows faster than the length of the body. When they are young, they grow longer rapidly, then slow down and start growing laterally. In other words, their linear growth slows down with time, and at a certain point, their size becomes massive. This also means that as they grow longer, their increasing size makes them more cumbersome. However, the crocodile mentioned by Professor Werner was said to move quickly, so fast that he couldn't shoot it in time. This is also something that is difficult to understand. In my opinion, the visual misjudgment theory remains the most reasonable, as seen in this video. And similar footage, there are many such records. In fact, humans at a certain distance find it very difficult to judge the size of objects with the naked eye. Of course, these are just my personal opinions. The reason I say it could exist is because, according to Professor Werner's records, he was not far from the giant crocodile during both encounters. In the second sighting, it even directly collided with the boat. If Mahampa really exists, it must be a new species, distinct from the Nile crocodile. Its adult size alone would be enormous, and it would inhabit the dense depths of the Congo rainforest. So let us maintain our awe of the unknown, and look forward to the day this jungle mystery is unveiled. Well, as always, the final message is, the unknown always surpasses the known. This is the charm of UMAs. That's it for this episode. Thank you for watching.